Welcome. This is the fall edition of Price This House. I'm Dave O'Neil with Century 21 Northeast.
And I'm Kimberly O'Neil, also with Century 21 Northeast. Welcome back. We're going to start the show talking about our North Reading, Lynnfield, and Andover markets, and we're going to begin with just the facts. Dave, take it away.
Sure. We'll start with North Reading. Even though a lot of the world has been closed up, the real estate market has remained very vibrant. In the third quarter of 2020, there were 58 single families sold versus 19, there was 55, virtually the same. Average list price was $679. Last year it was $625. Average sales price this year is $685. Last year $629. The price per square foot this year is $296 per square foot, and last year it was $279. And the days to an offer, this year it's only 15 days from listing your home to having an offer, and last year it was 25. Still an excellent number. As far as condos go, there were 22 that sold this year in the third quarter, and there were 16 in last year's. The average list price this year is $372,000 versus $293,000 last year. The average sale price this year is $375,000 versus $293,000. That's a 28% increase in sale price. The price per square foot this year is $309 versus last year's $298. And the days to offer this year was only 31 days versus last year was 61. That's almost half as long. Multifamilies and land in North Reading are really non-existent as far as repeat sales. So we're going to just move on to the Reading market.
Dave, you've been in the business for over 40 years serving the North Reading market. Could you believe 40 years ago they were getting north of $300 a square foot in North Reading?
Crazy. It's absolutely crazy. But the demand is there. And when you have multiple offers on a house, that's going to push that price up.
It's fantastic for the market. On to Reading. In 2020, there were 82 single-family sales versus 82 a year ago, so virtually the same, or actually the same. The list price was up in 2020 to $705, $741 versus $667, $906 a year ago. So about a 6% increase from this quarter over the same quarter last year. The average sale price was $722 versus $675 last year, which is a 7% increase. So that's great. The price per square foot in Reading is up to $345, which is amazing. It was $323 a year ago. So 7% increase in just the 1 year. And similar to the North Reading, the days to offer was only 13 days this year versus 22 a year ago. So that's down 41%, which means the offers are just getting accepted a lot more quickly, which is, again, great for everybody. In the condo world, there were 38 this year versus 22 a year ago. The average list price this year was $536 versus $456 a year ago. That's an 18% increase. And then the average sale price was $536 versus $454, which is also an 18% increase. The price per square foot was $329 versus $331 a year ago. So, not much of a difference. And the days to offer was 27 versus 19. I think that's just because there were a lot more units, 38 versus 22. So I think the days to offer were just a little bit longer. Sometimes in an interesting real estate market, the single family homes sell at a faster pace than the condos. We do notice that, especially where people were working from home and needing more space. We were seeing that people were looking at the single families a little bit more strongly. There were 4 multifamilies sold in Reading with a list price of $640 versus $719 a year ago. There were only 2 sold a year ago. So when it's small numbers like that, it's really hard to, to look at the difference. But the average sale price this year was $640 on a 640 list price versus last year it was only $682 on a 720. So better list to sale price ratio. This price per square foot for the multifamilies was $255 this year and last, and this year only 5 days to offer on the 4 multifamilies versus 8 days a year ago. And similar to North Reading, there was no land in the third quarter of 19 or 20.
Lynnfield is enjoying a robust real estate market as well. For the third quarter, Lynnfield saw 44 homes sell versus 55 a year ago. And I believe that 20% decrease is just a shortage of inventory. We saw the average list price $841 this year versus $737 last year. That's a 14% increase in the average list price. Average sales price is $872 versus $725, and that's a 20% increase in price. So again, that shortage of inventory is pushing the prices up. In Lynnfield, we saw 11 days till the offer, and last year it was 28 days. Still excellent, but it's down to 11 days. Condos in Lynnfield, there were 5 sold versus 7 a year ago. The average list price this year was $444 versus $560 last year. The average sale price this year is $449, and last year's the average sales price was $553. Price on condos is $306 per square foot this year versus $280 last year. And condos, days on market, 49 for this year versus 28 for last year. Again, that's a significant reduction, but there just isn't a lot of inventory. That's what's making that happen. There are no multifamily or land sales to report as well. Yep.
Okay. For Andover, in the third quarter of 2020, there were 135 single family sold versus 154 a year ago, which is a 12% decrease. But to echo Dave's sentiments, it's just because we didn't have the inventory. If we had the inventory, it would have sold as well. The average list price was $771 in 2020 versus $733 a year ago, so a 5% increase in list price, and the average sale price was $773 versus $730 a year ago, so a 6% increase in sale price for single families. $274 per square foot this year, up from $269 last year, so 2% increase on that. And the days to offer was down to 20 days versus 26 just a year ago. For condo sales, we had 48 sell this quarter. I'm sorry, 45 in this quarter versus 48 in the same quarter last year. And the average list price was $449 this year versus $456 a year ago, so a slight decrease. The average sale was $446 versus $455 a year ago, so again, a small decrease. And the price per square footage was $299 this year versus $307 a year ago. The days to offer on the condos were 48, which is down significantly, down 30% from 69 last year. There were 2 multifamilies that sold in Andover this quarter. The average list price was $637 versus $541 a year ago when there were only 3. So again, comparing 2 or 3, it's not the same as when you're comparing 150 homes when you're comparing just 2 or 3. But the average sale price was $237 this year versus $522 a year ago. And the price per square foot is $204 versus $228 a year ago. Days to offer were 57 versus 25 years ago. And to be repetitive, I think all 4 of the communities that we covered, there was no land sold this quarter of this year or this quarter last year. There's just not much land left in these parts. So anyway, that completes our Just the Facts segment, and we're going to turn it over to Dave to start the Spotlight segment.
Sure. In this section of the show, we take one property from each of the 4 communities and we highlight the property itself. So we're going to start with North Reading, 18 Railroad Avenue, which is a very young townhouse, 5 rooms, 2 bedrooms, 2.5 baths. Actually has 1,856 square feet of living area, so that's a big house. It does have central air, gas, heat, and a lot of upgrades in the house. The property was listed at $539,000 and sold for full price, $539,000, and it was only 2 days to offer. What that probably meant was the first day got put in, then everybody showed it the next day and bought it. So that is fantastic turnaround time. If anybody has any properties they want to sell, this is really the time. Yeah.
Thanks, Dave. So what we're spotlighting on this segment, we try to show on each show something that's similar. So for this segment, we're showing 4 townhouses in the 4 different communities, all in that mid-5 price range. So that's what we're spotlighting in each of the towns. So for Reading, we're highlighting 9 Carnation Circle, Unit D. That was listed at $499,900, sold for $535,000. Very smart marketing to get under that threshold of the $500,000. By putting on at $499,000, they were likely in a multiple offer situation and ended up with $535,000. If they'd put it on the market for $529,000 or for $535,000 even, they may not have gotten the activity. It's kind of just supply and demand. And if you want to get as many people in the door as possible, they did a great job listing this at $499 and getting $535. It was a 7-room, 2-bedroom, 2.5-bath condo, including a master bath. Had 2 fireplaces and private outdoor space. It was a corner unit townhouse in a sought-after greenhouse acres community. It was almost 2,300 square feet, and which included 450 square feet in a finished basement. It was also sold, pretty quickly. It was on the market for just 2 weeks. And that sold just in September, so very recently. So I'll turn it back to Dave.
Sure. For us in Lynnfield, we'll look at 51 Pyburn Road, listed at $549.9 and sold at $540. It did take 65 days to get to an offer. We talked a little bit about that. Condos take a little longer sometimes. It does have 806 square feet of living area, so that's very good, a large property. It does have 2-zone heat, central air, and all the upgrades that you would expect at $540. The fireplace, the hardwood floors, has a beautiful master suite, has cathedral ceilings, master bath, additional den in the lower level, the garage, central air, gas heat, everything that you could ask for. And then on top of that, it's close to the Market Street shopping facility in Lynnfield. So location is important. Again, $540,000 in Lynnfield, and I'll turn it back to you, Kim.
Thanks, Dave. For our Andover condo spotlight, we're looking at 18 Dale Street, Unit 6G. It was listed at $549.9 and sold for full price, $549.9. It had 7 rooms, 3 bedrooms, and 2.5 baths, including a master bath. And there was outdoor space available. It was a beautiful home with 2,440 square feet, and that also didn't take too long. It was on the market for exactly 3 weeks. That was back in early April when people really weren't sure what was going on or going to happen. So it was great that they got full price that first week in April. So that concludes our spotlight portion of the show. We are very fortunate that we are joined today by the Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Patrick Daly. He's going to be joining us after the break, so stick around. We'll be right back.
Okay, we're back, and we're joined with Dr. Patrick Daly, the Superintendent of the North Reading Schools. This has been his first year, 2020, which everybody will remember for a lot of different reasons. I noticed in your bio, Dr. Daly, that you used to teach video production and screenwriting, which with today, everything being done on Zoom and all that, that's a really important tool for people to have. Maybe you could start a little bit about your background and about how you've grown into the job of superintendent, and then give us some examples of things that are happening in the schools today.
Sure. Thank you for having me today. So, yeah, I started actually in January as superintendent, and as I've said to many folks, that it's gone exactly as I planned. Right, is exactly what I pictured my first few months to be. The time that I've been in North Reading prior to January, I was actually the assistant superintendent for about 5 years. I started back in 2009. I came in as the assistant principal of the middle school. And then after that year, there was a position called curriculum and technology director. At the time, it became titled as director of academic services. And I was able to marry my background, my history, my passion for both curriculum and technology. As you mentioned, I was a teacher for many years. I was a teacher of English and also of video production and screenwriting. And one of my one fun fact is that one of my former students is now the middle school video production teacher, and I'm so proud of her and the amazing work she does up here at the middle school. And I like to think that I really haven't forgotten where I came from. I was a teacher for 10 years, and I'm actually at a position in my career now where I've taught for 10 years, and I've been an administrator for 10 years. It's actually a pretty interesting point for me to be at that place in my career. But I like to think that I always have that open communication with teachers to really listen and to not forget where I came from. Both of my parents were actually teachers, and my brothers are teachers as well. My youngest brother just became an administrator. But I like to say that they keep me honest. We have our conversations around the Thanksgiving table, and we often talk about, the topics of the day from education. And so, we always try to keep those lines of communication open. And so that's what brought me here to North Reading. It's a wonderful place. I grew up in Melrose, so I always played against North Reading on the soccer field, but I really found a great home here, and I love being a part of this community. So it's really fantastic.
Thank you. Can you talk about what the day looks like? So I have a student in the first grade, so I know. But for those viewers that don't and are curious, can you talk about what the hybrid model looks like and how you all arrived at where we are today with the model that we're using?
Absolutely, yeah. So I mean, I think that's a great way to start. Is just where we are today. We have a hybrid model. We have some students that are our highest need students, and also our kindergartners. They're coming in 5 days a week. We then have our students who are in the hybrid model coming 3 days a week, 1 week, and then 2 days a week the next week. They're fully participating in school, and then they're also participating remotely on those other 2 days. And we really arrived at a wonderful situation. I need a water. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Why don't I'll just start that one over again, if you don't
You
mind.
want me to ask the question again, or you want to just pick it up?
Sure. Yeah, why don't we do that?
Can you tell us a little bit about the hybrid model and how you arrived at deciding to implement that, and just a little bit about how it's working?
Absolutely. So the students are coming into our schools. We have some students that are coming 5 days a week for full in-person instruction. And then we have some other students who are coming in just for kindergarten, and they're coming in 5 days a week as well. The other students are doing a hybrid program, and they are here for 3 days a week, 1 week, and then 2 days a week the next week. And so I want to just say, just from the outset, how wonderful it's been to work with our students and to work with our teachers on this model. We really have had such great support from our teachers union over the years, and what we've been planning here this summer. We were really proactive with that as well. We came together, I brought a group together in June that had our parent advisory group. So all of our parent leaders from all the schools. We also had special education leaders, teachers, paraprofessionals, and also members from our town, the town administrator, police, fire, all representatives from the Board of Health as well, as a part of that reopening group. So we really were proactive in addressing some of these questions back in June, and we did a really fantastic job, I think, of coming up with some of the questions about how do we approach teaching and learning in the classroom, in this hybrid model, and what that actually looks like. And something that I think is really important to consider that I think this town has is, number one, is the trust. I think, our former leaders, superintendents, and our teachers unions, and all of our staff have really built up a trust that, we're doing this thing. Number one consideration is that we're doing things with the safety of the students and the staff in mind. And a close 1A right behind that is, what are we doing for our students in learning so that it's not interrupted, so they get the best possible education. The second thing that I think really is a driver here in North Reading is our fantastic new schools. We have a new middle school, high school campus here that's from 2014-15, and then the Batchelder School also built in the last 20 years. So we have 2 schools that are within the last 20 years, and our other 2 schools have had many updates and improvements. So we're not really facing some of those real facilities challenges that some other districts are facing. So we were able to get to a point where we said, we feel that our buildings are ready to receive our staff and then also our students, and we were able to offer a really fantastic program for our students here. So that's what's happening right now. And what's amazing, when I go into a classroom, I see some of the amazing teaching and learning that's happening every day. Our middle school principal, Kathy O'Connell, said the other day, she was on an observation of a class, and she closed her eyes and she said, I tell you, if I were in that room, I couldn't tell whether the students were at home or whether they were in person. So not every single classroom every day is going to be that way, where it's a live synchronous class, but many teachers are able to do that, where I was in a first grade classroom at the Hood the other day, and the teacher had up on her board, she had on the left side of the board, she was doing the math lesson. On the right side of the board were the students who were at home in a Zoom. And then the other students were in the classroom, and they were interacting with each other. They were interacting with the teacher, and it really was pretty amazing. But we didn't require teachers to do any one model. We did require them to have live interaction with their students, both home and in the classroom, which again, that's very much a challenge for any teacher to face. And our teachers have been amazing. We had professional development at the beginning of the year. We had our digital learning team led by Dr. Downs and his digital learning specialist, who really did a fantastic job of supporting our classes and our teachers with a sort of a essential question, which is, what is different about hybrid teaching and learning? And I think for us to be answering that question, what we did is we kind of flipped on its side the central question that was really out there all summer, which is, how can we possibly teach in person and remote at the same time? How can we possibly do that? That's double the work. It's impossible to do that. And what we did is we framed it a little bit differently. We said, listen, we've all been through remote teaching. We've all done that. So if we think about remote teaching, what was the most negative part of that was we didn't get to make those in-person connections, to follow up, to ask a question, to form those relationships, to really do the things you can only do in person. And I think we've all learned that, maybe a lot of higher education is going to, full online, but that doesn't work as well for K-12. But what's kind of interesting is there are some real, great opportunities for hybrid that we, that I'll speak about in a moment that we could come back to. But essentially, our classes, the students aren't logging on in the morning first thing and their computer's on all day, but there are opportunities throughout the day for those live connections with their teachers, which is amazing. And what's happened, we did have, as some of you may be aware, we did have one positive case recently at one of our schools, and I was able to go in the classroom the other day. The teacher has to be home because of a quarantine out of a safety precaution. Some of the students are home, but the other whole cohort is able to come into the classroom. They're in there with a substitute. The teacher's at home teaching up on the board, and the students are in the classroom, and they're really not missing a beat. So you figure, not too long ago, those students would have either just had a substitute lesson plan, they wouldn't have had that connection with their teacher. So we've been able to shift where people are, but the learning is able to continue. And this is one of those things that I think is fantastic moving forward. I mean, this year, I don't anticipate that we may have a traditional snow day. There's a great opportunity. Obviously, if we lose power or something like that, that could happen. And I also, I understand the value of kids sledding and building snowmen. I get that as well. But at the same time, now that we know that we can do this, if students are home, they can learn anytime and from any place that they are. And this has been great for students that are just not feeling well, not even COVID related, but if they've got a sore throat or an upset stomach, or they're not able to come to school because of any kind of medical issue, they can just join their classes the way they typically would now on their hybrid remote days. And that's already proving to be something really beneficial. And those are some of the things that might continue even after this is done, because if you go back to March and you ask teachers, have you ever heard of this thing called Zoom or Google Meet? Or some were familiar with it, some were using it. We were doing things called flipping the classroom and using some of those techniques. But there are, I'm getting a call here. But there are, so let me just try that again. So if you go back to March, there was, there was a time when if you asked people what Google Meet was or what Zoom was, people didn't always know what we were talking about, right? But now all of a sudden everybody knows that. And I think there's certain elements of this that'll really improve education moving forward, because the ability to be able to access your classroom no matter where you are is going to be a great benefit to students moving forward. So there are some silver linings even to what we're going through right now.
As a parent of a first grader, we really appreciate all the time and effort that you and the teachers have put into it. It's really amazing to sit as the person that helps with the remote learning. I don't know how they're doing it. I don't know how they're teaching two classes at the same time. It's really evident how much effort and time they're putting into it. So we're very appreciative to you and all the teachers.
Yeah, our teachers are absolutely amazing. Our paraprofessionals, the work that they've done, they've tied not only that professional development at the beginning of the year, but they've also structured their educator evaluation goals for the year to that question. We've really, for the whole district, looked at two questions, one around social justice and one around hybrid teaching and learning, just to make sure that we're continuing that exploration of what are the best practices and what are the areas of improvement, so that we can really become great teachers in this new age. And it's something that none of us were trained for, and they've really shifted, and it's pretty incredible. I think we are well prepared and positioned if the situation dictates that we need to go to full remote for health and safety reasons. I think that we can do that really without missing a beat. I think we can kind of shift back and forth into full in-person if the situation allows that as well. Um, I think our teachers have just done a fantastic job. And I think part of the reason that I feel like we were a little bit ahead of the curve in North Reading as well was we were very proactive. Our town administrator, Michael Gilberto, in early March, we started to come together with the director of public health and the police fire chief, the public health nurse. We would meet regularly to talk about some of these ideas and concerns that we had proactively. And then around mid-March, when we all went out, I think everyone started filling that boat. And I felt like we were a bit ahead of the curve. Our reopening group met throughout the summer. Our teachers unions and paraprofessionals unions were fantastic to work with. And really, like I said, we all work together to do what's best for the kids, but also not forgetting the importance of the safety of the staff and students as well as the number one goal. And, we are fortunate. Every town, every circumstance is a little bit different, but I think, I think we're in a very good place here. When you go out on the athletic fields, when you go in the classrooms, it's a little different. You see the students, they do have their masks on, they're socially distanced, the desks are a little bit further apart, but the kids are just as engaged in their learning in the topics as you would ever imagine. And as the principal said, if you close your eyes, it feels and sounds just like a typical school year. It definitely looks a little bit different given the situation, but I think the learning is certainly continuing in North Reading.
So the question is, what do you have planned for your second year?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think next summer it might be a little bit different. It might be really good. I think a lot of us are constantly saying, what month is it right now? I mean, for me, it was all about getting those first students in. I think that's what we saw here. When we brought our students in, and so around September 14th for their first walkthroughs and the students came in the building, everything changed. Everyone, the anxiety level came way down. Once you saw the kids and you saw that it was going to work and the kids were so excited to be there, it was such a different feeling. And for me, that first bus coming on the 17th, I actually got to ride the bus along with our school committee chair, Mr. Buckley and Mr. McGowan and a lot of other central office folks. That was a cool experience for me. And that's something that might become a tradition now too, riding the bus the first day. But we wanted to make sure we did it this year, a little bit differently. But once those buses came and the kids were here, everything just made sense. And ever since, it's really been pretty smooth. We've been out ahead of a lot of the obstacles that are coming up, and dealing with the things that are out there and trying to stay ahead. But our athletics teams are playing, our extracurriculars are happening. Everything looks a little bit different. But to not use that phrase, the new normal that is out there. But again, we're used to some things being different, but everyone is happy that things are happening. Kids are getting to participate in their sports, to join in their extracurriculars, to have their academics, and to have those relationships with their teachers. And we're very happy with how things are going, despite the current circumstances.
Well, Dave's been selling real estate in town here for over 40 years, and I've been selling it for over 16. And the number one question we always get is about the schools. So it's just really important in our field. So we're really appreciative of you taking your time to kind of walk our viewers through, kind of what's happened and give us a status update. So thank you so much for your time. We really do appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me. It's a great community. I'm so happy to be a part of it. So thank you.
Thank you. We'll be right back.
Wow, what a great presentation by Dr. Daly. It's very interesting to hear all about what the North Reading schools have been going through.
Now it's time for our segment, Beantown and Beyond. Today we're going to highlight a condo at 57 McGee Street in Cambridge, the Riverside area. It's on the market for $624,900. It's 4 rooms, 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, 1 fireplace with outdoor common space. It's close to Memorial Drive. It was very thoughtfully renovated in 2017 to maximize every square foot. This beautiful 2-bed and 1-bath condo is conveniently located between Central and Harvard Squares and a 1/10 of a mile to the Charles River for easy access to the bike path and other Cambridge amenities, restaurants, shopping, universities, public transportation, MBTA, and more. You can cozy up next to the gas fireplace. We're starting to get a chill in the air. That'll be nice. There's a nice fireplace in the living room, or you can entertain in the dining nook of your backyard oasis after cooking in the remodeled kitchen that includes stainless steel, energy-efficient appliances with gorgeous, looks like marble quartz countertops, custom cabinetry with frosted glass, a composite granite sink, and under cabinet lighting all around. The master bedroom boasts a custom built-in wardrobe, and the second bedroom is the definition of versatility with a custom built-in wall bed, allowing its use to flex between a spare bedroom, office, and home gym. There's bonus hidden storage throughout with plentiful storage in the basement, along with private laundry. This is a beautiful unit. It has forced air, central air. It's 648 square feet. And again, if anybody's interested in condo living in Cambridge, it's really a lovely unit listed at $624,900. And then the last thing we're gonna talk about today is something to talk about.
So we thought we'd take just a minute to explain the inventory. Simple, no inventory, people are coming in. So what we're finding is if the homeowner lists their property where they believe it will sell, that's when you're going to have the most number of buyers. And when buyers see other buyers out there, that's when you're going to have the most number of offers. So it might go 5, 10, 15% over asking. However, you can't raise the price that 5, 10, or 15% because the buyers will know that it's too high and they just either won't come and see it or they may walk through an open house, but they're not going to make an offer. So again, if you're going to sell your house, put it on at the number where you think it's going to sell, and then you'll be able to get that premium for being such a hot market. Right now, with the election coming up and the winter and all of that, we don't know how long this market will last. So if you have any interest at all, please give Kim and myself a call, and we can walk you through the steps, what's involved. Even if you're thinking, well, I don't want to do something till the spring, well, we can still walk you through now and tell you what to expect. So Kim, you're going to talk about a fantastic property. I know it.
Yeah, we had a great opportunity to list 14 Tower Hill Road in North Reading, Batch School District. Lovely home, 6 rooms, 3 bedrooms, 2 full baths, 1 fireplace, plus an office, 1,536 square feet. We were going to put this property on the market on Monday or Tuesday morning. We were just waiting for, the sellers to have everything ready. We had the sign in saying coming soon. We had so many calls on the coming soon sign that we actually put it on the market on a Sunday night, which is not a typical time to do it. We put it on the market on a Sunday night. We had the phone ringing off the hook all day Monday. We had over 20 offers in the first 24 hours. This property was listed for $549,000 and sold for over $70,000 over asking price. It's absolutely phenomenal. Dave and I have so many buyers right now, so many buyers. Our sellers are all very happy because we're selling at top dollar. Our buyers are, facing competition, multiple offer scenarios and things like that. So we have so many buyers that we're actually able even to get them into homes before they actually hit the market because we have so many, people to place. So if you or anyone is thinking about or getting ready to think about selling their home, please let us know. Even if it's a spring market that you want to sell. I just had an offer accepted on a property that's not closing until May 1st. Same thing, they wanted to have the surety of having it sold before the election, before the flu season, before everything comes out, but they didn't want to move to the spring. And so my buyers were willing to be flexible to do that. So we have a property under contract that's not closing until May. So whether it's now or whatever your timeline is in the future, please give Dave or I a call, and we'll definitely walk you through the best scenarios for you.
Certainly a hot market. It certainly is a seller's market. So again, for those poor buyers that are out there, we work with you. We kind of tell you what to expect. So when we're in a house and we know it's going to be multiple offers, there's certain techniques that we can use to help your offer stand out. And we'll walk you through that. I've been doing this a long time, have a lot of contacts with different bankers and attorneys and all of that maybe we can put together something that'll get your offer accepted versus somebody else's. And that's what we're always trying to do for our buyers. So again, don't be afraid. If you're a buyer, it's still good to jump in the market because if these appreciation rates continue, you're going to pay that much more next year, next year, next year. So it is a good time if you can afford it. We can get you pre-approved, one of our lenders, and have you ready to go. When you see that house that you really like, you're good because you're all ready compared to the guy who has to now start thinking about his pre-approval and so forth. So again, buying or selling, we're here to help you.
Thank you so much for watching Price This House. We enjoy your loyalty to viewing our show, and we look forward to reporting back at the end of the 2020 fiscal year. Thanks so much. Stay healthy, be safe, and thanks for watching.